Hello and welcome to White Fire. It's a very different map than the one we were just looking at. So, 4-leaf clover, all sunny and warm. We're buried in snow with a whole bunch of rocks made of ice. Guess that's an interesting concept. Melting water, making metal. But there is a big chunk of mass here. There's 4 reclaim spots. These are dead Tech 3 factories. It's huge amounts of mass. It's probably enough mass. I want to say it's at least 3,000, between 3 and 4,000. Actually, that's probably something we could look at and get an approximate number. First land from Zock, second air. His ACU is not going to be bothered with mass extractor. That's the job of engineers. Zock's ACU is also going to rush the weaker of the 2 reclamation points. And this map, I used to hate it, and I think a lot of newer people might hate it. I don't think it's very good for 3v3. It's just very crazy. If you're into that type of thing, sure, but I don't think it's actually played at 3v3 too much. For Navy, you need a lot more space. But 1v1, if you watch it and play it a few times, it's actually kind of fun. And looking at Pachuriko, Seraphim, this is Pachuriko's more familiar faction. He's gonna have to play a lot of games with EAF for me to stop thinking that. But it looks like it's gonna be a second land. And a bomber coming in from Pachuriko is going to attempt to ruin Zogg's day by coming in and killing off this engineer. And that's something that could happen if Zock is going to focus a lot of build capacity to use up all of his mass and then suddenly loses this engineer. It is kind of a pain. You can see one mistake you can make is to reclaim this and waste the mass since you have no allies, you have nobody to share with. Here comes a bomber. It will be spotted. The spirits are so powerful on this map. It's one of the reasons to choose Aeon, probably the biggest reason. There goes the engineer for Zock, so we'll have to keep track of what Zock can see here. He lost a single engineer, and he knows. Oh, wow. If you're Zock right now, your life kind of sucks. Zock will go into T1 flag. Now he's going to change his mind. Maybe he just wanted to show that to Pachuriko and then complete the air factory. So actually, Pachuriko, his bomber, his micro in general, if you have ever seen him play, if you like this game and you want to see different things how it's played, I recommend going on Pachuriko's channel and watching him play. He has, I think, the highest APM I've seen of anybody. It's above 100 APM is his standard. So yeah, so actually after watching him play, I wanted to quit the game for a while because I was very depressed. And right now Zock is probably you gotta like that style from Zock. He just got bombed to shreds. What does he do? He doesn't make an interceptor, he makes a bomber of his own. That is nice to see. Zock's ACU is also going to have to stay home for a little longer. He now has interceptor, which is going to be an attack move. He probably does not know where... Oh, look at those spirits. Not as an alcohol, but as scouts. Drunk with power. Here is a 6-kill bomber. I think it'll die. Scout from Pachuriko. A bomber for Zock on a payback mission. He's going to be spotted by some spirits. An interceptor is already dispatched over. So at least 2 kills, maybe. Successful dodge from Pachuriko. That's the thing. What high APM will give you. Is there another bomb? Nope. Is that you can micro multiple places very quickly. Which actually I think makes Pachuriko potentially the best player if he figures out all the different tricks that people like Zock, Lucian, Blackheart do. I think when it comes down to APM, which is probably the state of most real-time strategies eventually, since they're much more shallow than this. When it comes down to APM, it's basically an APM competition. Strategy becomes secondary. It's a necessary thing. You can't say it's not there, but that's not where the winners are determined. So if it ever happens in Supreme Commander Forged Alliance, Pachuriko is likely going to be one of your top players. Look at these spirits, jeez. That's nice. So has Zock really recovered? Looking at his eco, doesn't look that good. One thing about this map, and given these wrecks, you can't afford to get your ass kicked for a while. You will be low on build capacity. As long as you don't lose too much power, you can always make up for mass from that wreck. So you'll have to improvise, but you'll be alright. Zock, you can see, he's already reclaimed nearly 2,700. I don't know how much he is. So yeah, that chunk of mass is definitely not 3,000. It's probably more like 2,500 or something along those lines. Zock running across. Would have been really nice from Pachuriko if he aggressively went after that wreck, although the bomber from Zock would have probably spotted it. So given the position of the two ACUs, I don't think there's going to be any shenanigans where one player loses one of their wrecks. And actually, if you're able to steal your enemy's wrecks and keep your own, it's such a huge advantage, you're probably going to win. But, okay, so we're out of the initial madness, coming up in minute 6. This map is all about Navy, in case you didn't know. And whoever gets stuck to Navy first and out micros you with destroyers is typically the winner. The Seraphim Cruiser is an excellent unit. Zock is not going to have that luxury for a while. Zock has other luxuries like these spirits. Also, the Aurora is moving out. And we'll see if we see any frigate on frigate action. I never like the Aeon frigate in battles and the frigate versus frigate battles. I definitely like EEF. Cybern the best. I like EEF. Seraphim ones have a really high fire rate. I've seen them be very effective against things like Auroras or Mobile Arty, floating Arty. The Aeon ones have a very low fire rate. Yeah, I hate that unit. Well, I don't hate it, but not a fan of that frigate. So here's Zock looking for an engineer that's reclaiming. He didn't find it. He's going to find Pachuriko's ACU. Pachuriko will wave goodbye. Frigate will sail past. And Auroras here from Zock are going to be very annoying to this expanding engineer. Bombers out for Pachuriko. They're very effective against Auroras. It's probably a good target. And you can see how both these players at nearly identical time have these engineers getting ready to grab these expansions. This expansion right here is known to be dropped and taken from you. Although if that happens to you, it's not the worst thing in the world because your enemy had to invest a bunch into getting that. So if you have a good economy, you can recover that later. But you don't want to just give it away. The Auroras are now on land. And looks like some submarines are going to be made by Pachuriko. I don't know why. I've really enjoyed the last 3 games, and I'm enjoying this one as well. Something about watching Zock and Pachuriko play, where you don't see too much nonsense, and even when they make a mistake, it's probably a mistake you ought to have made yourself. 2 air, 2 land. Typically there are a bunch of factors here making build capacity. For the Navy, there's yeah, you can see multiple Tech 1 naval factories being put up. In terms of Tech 2 mass extractors, we'll see at least 4, 5. Basically half the mass extractors are already at Tech 2. These have been skipped by Pachuriko's ACU, and now the Auroras for Zock have done their deed. However, the bomber bombing the mass extractor, that's pretty silly. Second bomber, actually multiple bombers. Yeah, that engineer is going to die. See who goes to Tech 2 first, and will it be air or will it be Navy? I anticipate a shift to Tech 2 fairly quickly in the Navy. One reason to go quickly on Tech 2 air, if you want air control, if you want to do crazy things like deny expansions or do a lot of bombers or drops, Tech 2 air is usually very useful. Tech 2 air with Aeon, very powerful with Swiftwind. Gunships is very good for snipes. However, the torpedoes are useless whenever you're in the shallow water. They'll still do a job. If you want to snipe an ACU in this deep water, it'll work. If you want to snipe an ACU here, don't rely on your Aeon bombers. Pachuriko denying the expansion of the ACU for Zock will complete it. The spirits are dead to Pachuriko's bombers, which are all over the place on this map. Pachuriko investing fairly heavily into bombers And if you think about a bomber, that is 80 mass flying around, so it's more expensive than just a Tech 1 land unit. 360 mass for one of these subs, and Aurora about 50 mass. So who has an advantage? Pachuriko, a little more power, very even mass. Both players have been teching quite a bit. Okay, I didn't guess right. Tech to land. Tech to land from Zock. And here we're going to see submarines versus frigates. Frigates can't shoot back. Submarines will take a long time to kill them though. It looks like, yeah, the best thing to do is split up the frigates, go to different directions. If you remember some of the games, I'm not sure if actually I've already uploaded that, where we saw Voodoo versus Law and Seraphim Glaciers. We saw submarines versus frigates. Law just sent his frigates all over the place. The submarines never even responded. So if you want to be aggressive, it's definitely the frigate. I would actually love to see a ground fire bomb on those subs. They have low health, and in the shallow water you can ground fire them for sure. You can see these submarines got the job done. A whole bunch of dead frigates. But Pachuriko is covering the map with the bombers. Tech 2 Navy for Zock. And why would you want to go Tech 2 land? It's because the Blaze costs 220 mass for a single unit, very rapid fire, and it has very high speed. So yeah, it's a very good unit, especially because of its speed. You can see about 1,000 health. And you can also micro those quite well too. Tech 2 mass extractor in a very weak position. Let's see if the frigate. Submarines for Seraphim suck. Here comes Tech 2 Navy from Pachuriko. So gonna get a destroyer. He's almost done with the destroyer. However, this mass extractor just might die. And this is the problem. That cannon and that there. Actually, there are two cannons. They're taking forever. Both ACUs complete, taking over the expansions. One more Tech 1 mass extractor left for Pachuriko. Quite a bit of reclaim on Pachuriko's side, and anytime you have a naval battle, it is a reclamation battle. And what we're gonna see is perhaps the reason Zock is making all those blazes, he doesn't have confidence in his destroyers. Aeon Destroyer versus Seraphim Destroyer. If both players micro, the Seraphim Destroyer should win, just because you can't dodge the beam, while the Aeon Destroyer is fairly easy to dodge. I think that'll be one of the things we'll learn from this game. But check out all these Tech 2 mass extractors just popping up all over the place. After 11 minutes, Zock sitting on 8 Tech 2 mass extractors. He's got 1 Tech 2 power. He's working on another. And one thing you can do if you're Aeon and you have too much, well, here's Tech 2 flak, very valuable units. Instead of cruisers, the cruiser for Aeon, one of the most useless units unless you're protecting against Tech 3 strats. It's very good at anti-air, but doesn't do anything else. So it's sometimes much better to just make mobile flak if you want Tech 2 land. Destroyer for Pachuriko is out, looking for victims. And we'll see the damage. The DPS is about 300 on the main cannon. About, I think it's a little less than 100 on the torpedoes. The range on the torpedoes, I believe, is about 45. The range on the main cannon is about 60. And yeah, these frigates have just been thrown away. Meanwhile, the blazes running across. You can see the speed of the blaze. Bombers. Oh, nope. Excellent placement of that Tech 2 flak. That will protect all the build capacity on Zock's Tech 2 naval factory. And Pachuriko has been spending quite a bit on those bombers. I don't know if they've really paid for themselves. Blazes versus a frigate. In numbers, the blazes win, although now the blazes are going to be under fire from the destroyer. One advantage the blazes have over frigates is that they can't be countered by submarines. They're floating. So if somebody beats you with subs and you want to make it back on Navy, the blazes or any of the other floating tanks are quite potent. That's where the Wagners aren't very good. Oh, and yeah, you don't want to stop in front of a bunch of arty. So a line of 200 mass wrecks have been delivered by Zock, killed the frigate, a destroyer for Zock, and we might begin to see what this Aeon Micro and versus Seraphim Destroyer Micro looks like. 10 kills on the destroyer. How many kills you need for veterancy? 32 kills? Yeah, that's a lot. Actually, no, he's already got 1 kill. One piece of veterancy. So I don't know what it is. Looks like, yeah, he's killing Tech 2 units, so it's very confusing to know what exactly you need for that vet. But 32 Tech 1 units. Looks like 16 Tech 1 units for a single star, so probably 8 Tech 2s. And what has happened here, we can see that as soon as this destroyer gets in range, it has a lot of firepower. But actually, in close range, it could also be an advantage to the Aeon Destroyer. I think in close range, the Aeon Destroyer has very good DPS on the torpedoes, and in close range, you can't really dodge the Aeon Cannon. The Aeon Cannon is easily dodged at range, and I think what we've seen is a superior. Oh, and it just ate a couple cannons to the face from long. At short range, I think the DPS from torpedoes make up. So if you want to fight the Aeon Destroyer at range, you want to stay at about 60, although the range on the Aeon is an 80. It's got really nice range, but at 80, if you're reacting with your destroyer, you can dodge every shot, unless you, of course, you bump into something. In terms of ecos, see an advantage to Pachuriko. Really like to rush a Tech 3 mask extractor on this map. If you can finish it, you can lose chunks of the mask, you'll win back. So it's really a rationing of build capacity between your Tech 2 and Tech 3 mask extractors and your naval production. And so far from Pachuriko, I haven't seen too much dodging. So far, every single shot that Zock has shot with his destroyers has been eaten. It looks like one of those original destroyers has been killed. Also, a great feature of the Aeon Destroyer, when it runs away from you, it can shoot backwards. It can shoot 360. That's unlike your Cyber Destroyer. Oh man, I'm a total noob. I think you can also retreat with the Seraphim Destroyer, although I'm not sure 100%. Maybe there's a very narrow gap behind Seraphim Destroyer. Now it looks like you can shoot backwards. And the UEF destroyer has maximum damage when it's shooting from the side. Cyber can't shoot backwards. And this map is beginning to feature a number of wrecks. Pachuriko, 19,000 reclaim. Zock, 16,000, slight disadvantage. I'd love to see a cruiser. No, it's just destroyers. A cruiser, I think, whenever you have a static battle like this, see if those blazes can do damage. It's nice to put a cruiser and just bombard from long range. And cruise missile launcher from Zock. And this is one of the reasons I don't like to make Tech 2 mask extractors in vulnerable positions. TMD is needed. TMD is needed now, and I think there isn't any Tech 2 engineering in this position. And can Zock... This is something to remember. A cruise missile in this position has the range to kill 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mask extractors around here. Plus, it can kill mask extractors on this island. So I think after these missiles, we're going to see the mask game really even out. We're already seeing that. That's definitely a place to remember. Oh, and gunships from Zock. Zock with Tech 2 Air. He's also making torpedo bombers. We'll see how powerful the gunships are. There are 5 coming in. He's got a fairly large Tech 1 air force. This will be the first major air battle of the game. And, okay. Zock forgetting about his gunships. Pachuriko is going to kill the gunships. Looks like unopposed. This Tech 2 flag from Zock can really make a big difference. And Zock primering the destroyers. The destroyers can easily hide by diving underwater. However, they're not. They're just killing off a bunch of blazes. And I really think if Zock didn't get this cruise missile on here, and yeah, he's killed at least 3. He's killed at least 3 Tech 2 mask extractors. In this naval battle, we saw a little earlier attack to Navy from Pachuriko, and I think he really did have an advantage. And I think he's just won the naval battle, even despite I didn't win it outright, but he's won it locally in the middle, which will result in quite a bit of reclaim. Pachuriko plays a lot more settings, so he's very used to this type of position where you gotta take one naval factories and do factory attack moves to get all the fresh reclaim. Zock is now counterattacking. This will be our first chance to see what Pachuriko will do at range against the Aeon destroyer. You can see it's moving back and forth, although there are no shots from Zock's destroyers. And finally a cruiser, T2 torpedo bombers. Zock is ahead on mass. Zock with 4 destroyers, and even though Pachuriko is moving back and forth, his destroyers keep on eating shots. This front destroyer probably wants to go back home, and if people remember what Vortex did, I think maybe somebody did it before him, but I remember it as something that Vortex did, was to put the regen field on the ACU and send your damaged destroyers back and repair them for free. It's always a good thing to do. A destroyer with 1k health is much weaker than a destroyer with full health. You gotta recycle your units. Zock really built up a very strong destroyer force here, and it's much more difficult to dodge multiple projectiles, and it looks like actually Zock with superior numbers. Floating arty here as well. 5 destroyers, 6 destroyers. And yeah, that cruise missile launcher has been killed. Pachuriko is rebuilding. This has been a very good looking counterattack from Zock. He hasn't stopped, and once he gets closer and closer to Pachuriko's destroyers, oh, that was a nice stutter step. I like to think of that as a stutter step, not just moving back and forth. Because the stutter step really works well against units which have a high arching shot. Just let them shoot right over you. That's one of the things about these destroyers, they're very shallow. And Zock probably also save one of these weak destroyers, shoot at range, put your most healthy units up front. And Zock's ACU being very adventurous, moving into the middle. Seraphim torpedoes are also known to be weak, but I think they're better than Aeon in this shallow environment. They could potentially snipe Zock's ACU. They would probably need a nice large amount. Deck to air has been paused. Zock, one of the major mistakes that people do on this map is to spam too much power. Notice how Zock has made two P-gens and hasn't made any more. He's really put all of his eco into destroyers. His mass numbers have been very constant over the last 5 minutes or so. And he continues to get large numbers. He's also following up with engineers. Pachuriko has more mass, but he's got much lower numbers on Navy. Significantly lower numbers. Let's check out the reclamation for Zock is at 23,000, 2,000 in the bank. Has just enough power. I guess that's alright because he's about to run out. Look how quickly he's able to use up all that mass. He's also got at least one support factory. You can see the range. This is a range of 80. Same as the Siren. And against somebody who doesn't micro, Aeon Destroyer is excellent. Did Zock just get a Tech 3 mask ejector somewhere? He is getting his first Tech 3 mask ejector. Wonder how loud the actual game sound is. Hopefully it's not too annoying. Do we see regen? No regen. I don't think that ACU has any upgrades. And cruiser. We'll keep an eye on this Aeon cruiser. It does have a cannon. Actually got a kill against something here. But against air it's very good. It doesn't have splash damage. It has really high fire rate. It's basically like a Tech 3 anti-air with a very high fire rate. You don't want to fly any kind of expensive single units over it. And perhaps a tech to drop being readied by Zock. And now it looks like Zock retreated. I'm not really sure why. I think he's just playing safe. Zock now ahead in terms of mass. He's finished his first Tech 3 mass extractor. You see any Tech 3 mass extractors from Pachuriko. Pachuriko, huge build capacity. I'd love to see a couple Tech 1 bombs. See, he's making the destroyers very quickly. And a couple Tech 1 subs, which will die. Yeah, these are crazy. But I guess they're spotting. Look at Pachuriko. See the range on this, significantly shorter than the Aeon. So if you actually just stay at that range about between 80 and 60, it's a perfect range for Aeon. Even if they miss a bunch of their shots, they don't get shot back. So you want to be right there between 60 and 45, dodging Aeon shots and allowing your direct beam to do damage. It's really a game of ranges, and this is also where Tech 3 sonar, given that there is no stealth here, Tech 3 sonar would play a huge role in deciding where to be. Don't see a Tech 3 sonar from Pachuriko is Seraphim. They don't have Tech 3 sonar, but let's see if Zock has one. Zock definitely has one, so it's a big advantage, I think, in a map like this to get the Tech 3 sonar. And Pachuriko, not in a perfect range for him. See, this is about that range. Well, as soon as Pachuriko gets closer, though, he begins to dominate. But Zock is kiting. This is like Aurora Micro, but on a much larger scale. So we'll see if Pachuriko will continue to push. Yeah, Zock's keeping him perfect distance. The distance on the torpedo is about 45, so 45 and 80. Perhaps a move that sometimes people like to do with Seraphim destroyers is to submerge them and then bypass this 80 to 60 range submerged and then surface right next to your enemy destroyers. The problem with that is if you don't surface fast enough, when it's torpedo competition, the Aeon destroyer torpedoes are a bit stronger. And I have lied in the past. Oh, actually, besides doing a confession here, I gotta pay attention to these blazes. A single destroyer is gonna have to come back, kill those blazes. I have lied on a number of occasions during these casts, and when people point it out, I really appreciate it. So if I said something wrong about these navies, let me know. This is, yeah, that was some nice dodging action. See all those shots hitting nothing. And not a lot of engineers, unfortunately, for Pachuriko. I think this would be a perfect opportunity to come in, grab a lot of free mass. I'm actually going to speed this up. This is almost a stalemate. Actually, yeah, it is definitely a stalemate. I don't think either player is in a position to win completely. Although I think if one of them makes a push and then follows up with engineers, could give them a big advantage. And we gotta pay attention to this. Oh, this is tragedy. Zock killing a half-built Tech 3 mass extractor. That sucks. It's 2,000 mass was invested in that, and it's gone now. Pachuriko with a heartbreak. See how many kills these actually have. Not that many kills. Move to Tech 3 here with these factions is probably not obvious. Maybe it would be better for Pachuriko with the Tech 3 submarines. With Aeon, the battleship's pretty good, but I think in this case, I think the destroyers are doing the job. Wouldn't want to risk the move to Tech 3. If you were UEF, I think going to Tech 3 would be a fairly obvious move. The battle cruiser would dominate a battle like this. One thing we haven't seen from Zock have been shields. The Tech 2 mobile shields are usually nice in these types of battles. You can throw them right in front. One of the reasons is that Zock's actually now made another Tech 3 PGen. If you want to do a shield spam, you also get a power spam, so it's not very cheap. And now Pachuriko really creeping up here after 30 minutes, denying quite a few mass extractors on Zock's side of the map. Both players very similar incomes. We've seen Zock do two good looking assaults here with the blazes and also that cruise missile launcher. However, Pachuriko is still ahead, and Pachuriko now has got a lot of engineers. After the battles over between 20 and 30 minutes, I don't think the players have really got a chance to clean up the middle, and now Pachuriko is doing it. He's got to get a big advantage in terms of reclaim. He's at 51. Zock's only at 30, so 20,000 mass advantage to Pachuriko in terms of mass income. However, he does not want to make a mistake. If you're Pachuriko and you leave your destroyers for 30 seconds in range of Zock's and not move them, you're liable to lose a lot of units. And here comes a Harvey drop. There are two Harveys. Zock investing. This is why you love Zock, because he does crazy things like this. He built a Tech 3 HQ, which is a fairly expensive unit. I want to say it's about 3,000 mass. Something along those lines. So basically 1.2 of these destroyers. And finally we're seeing the mobile shields. Thing about the Aeon mobile shield, it's only 75 drain, unlike the EF, which is 100, and this actually has more health, so it's definitely a better shield than UEF shield, which also can go on water, and we'll see what these Harveys can do. These Harveys can turn this game on its head. I think Pachuriko wasn't at an advantage, and notice what Zock just did. As soon as he dropped those Harveys, that's when he went in the assault. So that's when you're attacking with two forces simultaneously. Meanwhile, mobile RD from Pachuriko doing damage. If it can make it all the way to Zock's production, perhaps it can do some damage. But that was a decisive victory in the middle. Oh, and Zock is now in position to make up a bit of reclaim. The Harveys have made it out. Harveys work quick, and these Harveys could reclaim that. I'd love to see Zock piss Pachuriko off and reclaim Pachuriko after this much damage. Throws in the towel. That's all it took. Well, I think he would have died anyway, but Zock running over Pachuriko in the middle. It was so even a second ago, and then we saw this Harvey drop and Zock winning the middle fight. I think one of the big features was this Tech 3 sonar from Zock. He could see everything on water. Meanwhile, Pachuriko, he was always had to use planes to really kind of see deep into Zock's territory. You couldn't upgrade one of these to Tech 2, but that becomes a primary target. The thing about Tech 3 is that you don't even have to put it so far up front, and you can move it around into a safe position. So that's a big weakness of Seraphim. Usually Aeon doesn't win against Seraphim on this map, so well played by Zock. What is this now? 2-2. A very nice and even best of 15. Hello and welcome to the second game on Whitefire. This series is currently 2-2. Pachuriko on Zock, this time going both Aeon. Last time Pachuriko went with Seraphim. Didn't work out for him. I think it was Zock's great play. Yeah, that Harvey drop was pretty impressive. Also cruise missiles, blazes. And he also showed that if you use the Aeon destroyer properly, he really used that range. The only time he really engaged directly against Pachuriko's navy was at the very end, when he just moved in and won. Before that, he kept on forcing Pachuriko into a lot of micro, which is frustrating because you got to do a lot more micro with Seraphim versus Aeon, where if you keep paying attention with your Tech 3 sonar, you got to keep on staying just at the range of your cannon. This time we're going to see faction versus faction. Also in the previous game, which that last game was pretty long, we saw first air from Pachuriko, both players exchanging bombers. That first bomber from Pachuriko, I thought Zock was screwed, but that was not the case. If you imagine losing your first 6 engineers on any map, it's extremely frustrating. But Zock was able to win the game. However, this is now a new game, and a factory attack move for Pachuriko. I really want to get that quick. He's using an engineer to get mass extractors. The ACU is just spamming power. He's also going to get a little assist. So if you have developed a feeling for your initial build order, if you're able to really maximize the build capacity on power, you know you're doing the right thing until you mass stall. And when you have such close proximity reclaim and so much of it, if you're able to build as much power without mass stalling and get that reclaim without wasting the reclaim, it feels like the best builder. Hopefully, for people who knew what I was talking about, understood what I said. Won't try to make it more clear. Maybe in the future. Zock getting Tech 1 Naval Factory. Actually, it looks like Pachuriko is going to be a lot quicker on it. The danger in doing a builder like that, if you screw up or if you get surprised and you lose this engineer. This is where when Pachuriko was attacking with a bomber in the previous game, if Zock was doing a builder like this and suddenly you lose your income from the reclaim and you don't have income from your mass extractors, you can find yourself in a hole for 30 seconds from which it'll be very difficult to climb out of. And that's a bigger hole than just losing your engineers. Well, it depends how many. Spirit abuse. Aurora puts an end to that. It's got a spirit of its own. Scouts from Zock. You can see he's looking. He's going to find a spirit from Pachuriko. Yeah, that's a lot of manual reclaim there from Zock. Zock this time will rush his second wreck. With Auroras, it's typically quite easy to deny an engineer who goes after the wreck. It's either bomber, Aurora, or a frigate that does the job. See, looks like it's going to be a naval advantage for Zock. Only the first naval factory is complete. We already see the second factory being built for Zock. And NT4 Zock, I haven't seen any bombers yet. In the previous game, Pachuriko really went heavy with the bombers. I think that was maybe one of his mistakes. I don't think they really paid for themselves. And yeah, that was kind of the stage between 5 and 10 minutes when Zock sort of came back. Pachuriko was doing rather crazy things. Pachuriko also got a lot more reclaim. I don't know at the end, but at around 20 minutes or 25 minutes, Pachuriko's way ahead. Spirit for Pachuriko. Let's see how many shots does it take. In 2 minutes, a Spirit can't kill an engineer. It's quite annoying. So if you don't deal with it, Zock will deal with it. That means more build orders have to be given. Aurora and a bomber for Zock is under attack. Zock's bombing Air Force did not get a chance to go on a single bombing run there. Scouts looking at each other, waving. No more initial reclaim for Pachuriko. And that's another thing that can happen on this map. You get so used to that reclaim, it suddenly runs out and you're still not at your other reclaim. That's an advantage that Zock's going to have. Let's actually look at Pachuriko. He is mass stalling. It ran out a little faster than he hoped. And this one's only quite a bit away. This is why he paused his power production. And you can make up for it with a little manual reclaim. Zock, meanwhile, he's ahead of Pachuriko in power, but he's got minimal power. This is great. He's making his 4th land factory. Zock working on his second, third, and 4th Tech 2 mass extractor. This is Aeon on Aeon. It's kind of confusing. I don't know what the heck's happening. Hydros for Pachuriko with single engineers. They're actually, these 2 Hydros are pretty huge, and it looks like Zock got him a bit quicker. You can see that's why he's got that big advantage. They're a lot cheaper than the P-Gens. And it looks like Pachuriko has restarted his power spam. He's finally reclaiming his 2nd wreck. He's working on his 4th Tech 2 mass extractor. And let's see what Zock does. Zock invested much more heavily into early Tech 1 Navy. he's going to have to make it count. He's got a destroyer coming in, which you might be thinking about. Definitely will speed this up. Denying this NG. Although the NG is already halfway done, plus the ACU is following up. Once again, Zock had good success with the Auroras denying expanding engineers. He's going to attempt to do that. And that was the lesson from Zock. Pachuriko doing the same thing to Zock in this game. And that's a lot of kills on that frigate. Yeah, the frigates are good at killing engineers. Slow turret, slow fire rate. The wreck's gone. And Pachuriko ahead on power. And now he's got 8,000 reclaims. Zock, 8,000, very even. I think it's basically the same ecos for these two players. They both have done very similar things to each other. The main difference is much quicker navy from Zock. And see, actually, this might just turn into a Tech 2 mass extractor confrontation. The problem with doing that is you can get caught off guard in the middle of your Tech 3 mass extractor upgrade, faced against a bunch of destroyers. And if you get knocked out of the navy, out of the ocean, you're in a lot of trouble. And what we're seeing now is a good-looking submarine force from Zock. This is something to consider for Pachuriko. Does he know that it's coming? He should know it now that there are a whole bunch of Tech 1 naval. He's also scouted, so he sees all those naval factories. So he's got to invest. If I was him, I'd probably invest in some torpedo launchers. Though those are expensive and don't attack, but this could be a dangerous situation. He's probably not thinking things are that bad right now because he's looking at 5 naval factories. One of them is 64% done with Tech 2. Some drops being ready. Tech 2 land for Zock. Once again, he goes Tech 2 land first. And it appears that these subs met quite a bit of resistance somehow. They did deny a bunch of Tech 1 mass extractors. Yeah, the frigates on the other side applying pressure. This is a Tech 2 mass extractor. I hope these weren't upgrading for Pachuriko's sake. So the Tech 1 naval game, we're seeing the effects now. And yeah, Tech 2 sub from Pachuriko. This is what you want to do in this type of situation. You can get that much quicker. Although Pachuriko is going to suffer a lot of losses in terms of engineers. It's a loss of build capacity. Yeah, not a situation. This is where a single torpedo launcher would really help. And actually with this many subs, even a T2 sub is not going to be able to save you. It'll likely be primaried. I'll see if Zock, if you ground fire your frigates and then put them right there, you can kill the submarine as it's being produced. It's a trick that Zlo taught me. Pachuriko realizing how screwed he is. It was that easy. I don't think anything else happened except the quicker Tech 1 Navy, and Pachuriko, who was up to 1, is now down 3-2. We got one more white fire. Let's see if Pachuriko can even it out. Hello and welcome to the last game on Whitefire. This is the 6th game of this tourney, where we have Zock leading 3 games to 2. Pachuriko probably does not want to leave any kind of gap between him and Zock. He was doing quite well on the first map. In this one, Zock is shown to be a little better. The first game was quite even. The last one was a bit disappointing, although it was a very minor margin. Once again, Pachuriko going with Aeon, Zock, Aeon once again. Let's see if we see any changes. What we've been seeing are Auroras attacking spirits, things like that, and just a quicker Tech 1 Navy. See how much Navy Pachuriko decides to make. Another thing that happened to Pachuriko with his build order, which may be one of the reasons he decided to quit, he was at a mass stall for a little while because he reclaimed this a little too fast and didn't get to his second mass fast enough. Meanwhile, Zock, one of the reasons to rush the second mass with the ACU, you know you're going to get it for sure. Same thing, all games, the spirits run. See, they're looking here. They want to see what's happening at the reclamation or if anything's happening to the hydro. And then this one can spot any engineers grabbing the mass or expanding to the right expansion. First scout, second scout, and then interceptors. Yep, you can already see the difference. Pachuriko investing much more heavily in Tech 1 Navy. He's going to be ahead of Zock. It would be hilarious if just Pachuriko out produces Zock and Tech 1 Navy and Zock gives up. Although, I think given how quickly Zock is moving to, well, +4. Oops. To his second wreck, I think Zock will be in a very good position. More build capacity being shifted by Zock to the Tech 1 Navy. Pachuriko's scout still a little too fast. So 2 engineers on naval spam. In case people are wondering, one of these naval factories. It is more expensive than land. It does cost 300 mass. Land's 240. So you don't want to take those lightly. Also, the Tech 2 upgrade for Navy is more expensive than for the other, however you want to call it, mode of transportation, mode of warfare, a branch of the military. Zock, very quick at reclaiming his wrecks. 3,000 reclaimed. Pachuriko 3,700. And once again, I think Pachuriko will find himself in a bit of a hole. Maybe this time he'll pause a little earlier, but he is pausing, and now he's got a very big disbalance in his economy. So much wasted power. He'll be able to really utilize this mass quickly given that excess power. You're also seeing an assault with submarines from Pachuriko. Zock working on his 4th naval factory, 5th for Pachuriko. This is 5th for Zock's already complete. Zock intended to make engineers, which are probably all going to die. Zock completes his reclamation. So we'll see what this Tech 1 naval battle brings us. With the Tech 1 sub battles, it's the number 1 key is what you're shooting at. If you're fighting other submarines, you got to primary submarines. The lowest health on these things, 550 health, and also 2 versus 1. These submarines usually win. On frigate, I want to see the torpedo defense for this frigates. I don't remember the stats from what is in my mind. I think it's like reloads every 10 seconds. So it cuts out a couple torpedoes from a single Tech 1 subs. 1 kill on this Aurora. Is it going to get reclaimed? Runs away in time. 2 kills on that Aurora. Frigate moving in, and a large force of Auroras for Zock is coming in, although I think it'll probably run into Zock's ACU. This Aurora, meanwhile, being very annoying. There's nothing that can be done in the short time frame here. 4 kills, radar, 2 engineers, now a mask ejector, looking to kill a second mask ejector. Bomber being produced by Pachuriko, multiple bombers for Pachuriko. And Zock seems to be slightly ahead on mass, and yeah, this is not one of those wrecks. This is a dead factory from Zock. So the Tech 1 naval battle, early stages, Pachuriko seems to have an advantage. So Pachuriko's still upgrading, and he's got a lot of engineers here in the back forest, trying to get the extra power and the extra mass from those trees. Bit of an air fight. Zock appears to have more air. Zock has tech to air. Very quick tech to air. He's got tech to land, tech to air, and Tech 1 Navy. We're going to see Swift Winds make an appearance. And the thing about submarines, what Zock has seen as superior number of Tech 1 subs from Pachuriko, the easiest way to kill Tech 1 subs are torpedo bombers. So these subs, if they stay in the deep water, they'll get killed by T2 bombers from Zock, especially if Zock has air control. 8 kill frigate for Pachuriko. And Pachuriko's expansion here on the right, suffering greatly, continues to suffer. 8 kill frigate. 8 kill frigate. That's pretty ridiculous. 9 kills for Zock. Zock has a slight advantage. And now, how will Zock defend? I think Zock has significantly more build capacity than what Pachuriko has. So Pachuriko thinking about emulating Zock there for a second, but I think he made the right choice. He decided to retreat. He will leave. He'll preserve his 4 subs. On his way, he did kill a couple of units. A new wave of submarines for Pachuriko moving out. And the biggest problem for Pachuriko has been this expansion. The ACU got no kills. All these Auroras avoided the ACU, and these engineers continue to get killed. It's a 4 kill Aurora. This frigate now on 11 gets killed by a couple subs. And I think that Aurora is going to continue to kill. That's 5 kills now. One of those bombers needs to be dispatched. I'm not sure if Pachuriko realizes just how, yeah, he has no radar coverage there, so he just sees his engineers dying. Well, that sucks. Tech 2 gunships, Tech 1 bombers. Pachuriko once again moves in. He's got superior numbers, but yep, here comes a Tech 1 torpedo launcher. That will deal with your Tech 1 torpedo, Tech 1 submarine problems. 8 kill frigate. And here come the gunships together with blazes. Zock realizing he's got okay. What is the primary reason for Pachuriko's rage quit? We've seen our first rage quit of this best of 15. Zock takes a 4-2 lead, sweeping wide fire, and I think this right here is the Aurora with 7 kills. Did Spirit get any? He just got 7 assists, and Zock played these very well. He played them differently. Pachuriko tried to adjust. I think Pachuriko's first game, I think he could have won it. I think he kind of threw it away with too many Tech 1 bombers. But what's next? I think it's Loki, maybe? We'll see what's the next map. Hello and welcome to Game 7 between Zock and Pachuriko. This is the best of 15. We're on our 3rd map so far. Pachuriko's trying to cheat. Wonder how that happens. Yeah, Pachuriko's also confused. That sometimes randomly happens when you put the wrong command into your console. Alright, but it's 4 games to Zock and 2 games to Pachuriko. The previous game was on Whitefire. Actually, previous 3 were in Whitefire, where it was quite dominant by Zock. He was behind after the 4-leaf clover games. But now Pachuriko is in a position where if he loses the next 3, it's basically over. It'll be 7-2, so he will need to win. Ideally, he'd win all, but if he wins 2-1, 2 out of the next 3 games, it makes the last games very exciting. The other 2 maps are going to be Emerald Crater, which is kind of an unusual map. Haven't seen that for a while. And the final will be Eye of the Storm, where these 2 players are quite even, although probably give a edge to Zock given their last competitive game there. So Cybern versus Seraphim. Interestingly, Zock choosing Seraphim. Floating arty, definitely an advantage with these ponds of water. Cybern do have the speed. They also have the gesture, which is nice. Rhino is quite good, although the Ilshua is probably your best Tech 2 bot option. Ilshuas on this map are very powerful. ACU is also a very good unit on this map, so UEF or Seraphim do have that advantage. And to Tech 3 stage, I think the brick is probably a little better until it gets really late. But it may not get that far. Check out all them Selines from Zock. He's going second air. That's the standard thing to do. Both players going second air. Much quicker for Pachuriko, who went second air on 7, or I think he may have gone 6 and then built another PGen. But these Selines are some of the most overpowered units. In general, all scouts are very overpowered. Depends on the map, which faction is the most overpowered. But this Celine, of course, it goes stealthy. Cloaked, I don't never remember what it is. It's cloaked. You can still see it on radar. But you can't get direct visual unless you have Omni. ACU for Zock going to the top expansion with 3 mask extractors. Which means he'll likely go to the top 3 Okay, I gotta slow this down. This is important. A bomber from Pachuriko coming in. There are 2 split engineers. Are we gonna see dancing? Pachuriko just bombed the factory. There is also a bomber for Zock. This Hydra is completed. That's critical for Zock. That bomber, if it was a little earlier and denied the Hydra, which just might happen to Pachuriko. Look what Pachuriko did. He split his engineer. One engineer wants to get early mask extractors. The other one trying to finish the Hydra. Second bomb dropped off. This Angie got a little scared. Lost half its health, but still alive. As the bomber from Pachuriko got no kills. But the bomber from Zock gets at least 1 kill, denies the Hydra. Where the heck is it's still? Oh, okay, so there it is. Bomber's still alive off the map. And also scout together with a bomber, and the bomber will spot the other engineer. This is quite devastating. So Zock with the early bomber. What happens and what you can do with that early bomber is critical to this game. Critical to what will the map look like in the next 5-10 minutes. And what we've seen is that all the engineering that Pachuriko sent to the right side has been destroyed by this bomber, which is still alive on 18 health. Still providing valuable intel. Zock will dispatch a couple inties to perhaps try to save it. And check out them Selines. Look at the placement of these Selines. This is critical. This is just a good place in general. This is a good place because you know when forces are coming in, and that's also a critical place. 2 critical expansions for Zock. Is going to know when things are happening there. An air fight. It's who's going to win this one? Wow, that's pretty close. Oh yeah, it's going to be Pachuriko. Unless... Okay, what we just saw was the interceptor was nearly dead. Kill a full health inti by Zock. Whoops. We got a floating RD spam from Zock, which is running into a prepared force of Manti and scouts. As long as the Manti scout, they have no problems with killing a stream of RD here. A big waste of mass. These are 52 mass. I think Medusas are still 32. And a bomber takes out an expanding engineer. That's fairly important engineer for Zock. He's got another one who probably will die. He's got a couple tanks in protection. However, they're not in the right position. See if he reclaims the rock. He should reclaim the rock before it dies. Otherwise, what do we have happening? Zock's got Tech 2 land. He's making Yanceys. Yanceys are very quick like the Blaze. Alright, so Tech 2 land. What do we have? No Tech 2 yet from Pachuriko. No Tech 2 mask extractors. Pachuriko, though, does have a power advantage. He's finally finished his Hydro. And looks like he has successfully denied this engineer. Although now both players with a stream of tanks in this position will go down to micro, I think. Yeah, there are a few more tanks from Zock, and Zock also has a Tech 2 coming in that position, but the ACU for Pachuriko, actually the ACU in an analogous spot, let's actually grab that rock on his way. Pachuriko's ACU is going to put an end to this fun. These units probably want to sneak in, continue to deny the bottom corner. The top corner has been very well denied by Pachuriko and Manti. But Zock, once he establishes, oh, and this is a drop that is going to be killed, a big loss for Pachuriko. Looks like he did drop a single engineer. He's attacking way across the map. And now Ilsheva. So after initial, this is very interesting from Zock that he first went with the Yanceys, which are really fast. So he made a Tech 2 impact. Look, these Tech 2 tanks are everywhere. And they can escape into the water. Don't forget about those spawns. They always make Loki a little crazy. And good looking Manti here denied 3 Tech 1 mask extractors. Ilshevas are dispatched. This is an expansion, a supporting Tech 2 land factory. So Ilshevas in this position. Only Tech 1 from Pachuriko. Meanwhile, the Yanceys here, 5 and 4 kills. Another Yancey in the back. Tech 2 gunships. Tech 2 air versus Tech 2 land. Yep, this is a good move from Zock, avoiding the ACU. Will continue to deny the bottom corner. And I'm hearing Ilshevas, the most dominant Tech 2 unit. And yeah, these Yanceys have no protection. They're gonna die. However, let's see how far that Yancey gets. Yep, Let's gonna get on Raider over here. Good looking Raiders from Pachuriko, and Yancey now from Zock fighting Manta. This Manta could probably dodge. I'm not sure about the projectile from the Yancey. It seems to be fairly quick. I'm not sure if you can dodge it. Probably can with the Mantis. Zock comes in with his Air Force, which is bigger than Pachuriko. Pachuriko, though, has the gunships. He's got 3 gunships. I'm going to try to take care of this. Yep, they take care of the Yancey. And now, you don't want to just give those away. I think those are going to die. More Yancey harassment, but a timely point defense from Pachuriko will save the day. Yeah, that's critical, although with floating arty. Floating arty Yancey is a very deadly force that Seraphim can use. Pachuriko capturing Tech 1 mask extractors. Zock retreated to the bottom corner to secure the mask extractors. Meanwhile, he's losing the others. Zock about 100 behind on power, and in terms of mass, it appears to be quite similar. As we see 16 kill Ilsheva, 10 kill Ilsheva in the face of gunships continue to attack. And when did the air fight never happened, but Pachuriko now actually has an air force, and yeah, these Ilshevas should probably retreat. 14 kills. His buddy died, but they did do quite a bit of damage. Actually made a lot of noise, left a lot of wrecks. 2 mask extractors are left over. Check out that Celine. Celine's still alive. That Celine's still alive. This Celine looks like was reclaimed by engineers, perhaps an accident. Cruise missile by Zock. This is a beautiful place to put cruise missiles. You can reach. You can see how far you can reach.
Commander under
Yep,
attack.
that entire basin is now Zock under fire from the air. He's going to dispatch his air force. He definitely doesn't want to lose this air fight. And Zock primering the gunships. This will give Pachuriko the opportunity to win air. Zock retreating to the water. Tech to flag dispatched. I think this tech to flag will be in time to save the ACU. However, I think Pachuriko will win air, so if he doesn't stick around long enough for this tech to flag to kill his tech on air, he has just captured air control, and given that he has tech to air, he can now use tech to gunships that are going to come out. They're going to create all kinds of problems. This is patrol. This is dangerous. There is that tech to flag lurking around. Meanwhile, we see Ilshevas. Oh, and another. Maybe a little luck there on that PD, but it won't make a difference. 6 Ilshevas is a very deadly force. Yeah, 6 Ilshevas is about the mass of a destroyer. And a lot of DPS. Each one gives about 100 DPS, I believe. And with 6 of them, 600 damage per second. You can imagine what it does to Tech 1, Tech 2 units. It's a fairly secure position for Pachuriko, multiple PDs. Looks like the Ilshevas are going to be retreating. And the gunships, Tech 1 flak is enough to deny a gunship. Another gunship gets lost and gets killed by Tech 2 flak. I don't agree with Pachuriko's choice of targets here. He needs to fight where there is no flak, and he needs to find out about that. There's 1 missile loaded, and I think this could be tragic for Zock if Pachuriko can find that. He needs to just go ahead and kill it as soon as possible. There is a single TMD. With the placement of the TMD, I think here comes a scout from Zock. I think he's going to start firing his missiles. A couple of Yanceys in the back. Gunships make it past Tech to flak. Attacking Tech 1 mass extractors. Oh, looks like this team of 6 assassins. Here comes a cruise missile. Where is that going? He's going to kill a Tech 1 PD. That's a nice move from Zock, as that'll be the last. There's 1 more missile. Is it going to be fired? It will be fired. Yep, you can see that was taken out by the missile, so the Ilshevas can come in, clean up. These gunships are not being protected by Pachuriko. They're taking out the T2 support factory, but there's no reason for them to eat all this Tech 2 flak. So a game, this is a good game where I'm having problems keeping track of everything. Pachuriko's got the bottom corner. This T1 PD, remember when it was built, it was a critical moment. Yanceys made it all the way from the top corner. I'm going to retreat after killing off 2 Tech 1 mask extractors. The fact you're still alive, it'll be recovered quickly. Yeah, you can see here, that's denial. 16 kills, 11 kills. More Ilshevas. Corsairs dispatched. Corsairs can selectively target the flak. So now you can make a judgment. Was it a wise choice to go Tech 2 air versus Tech 2 land? A lot of Tech 1 PDs going up. We also see Tech 2 land, but it's a little late. Oh, you can see that TMD was targeted. Although it doesn't matter anymore. More Ilshevas coming in. I think Pachuriko threw in the towel unless I missed something. Tell me I didn't miss Pachuriko getting killed while watching the top. I think he just threw in the towel. No, Zock didn't get the kill, so it was a control K. But what we've seen, the Ilsheva dominate this map. Zock is up 5 games to 2. I'm really hoping Pachuriko can get some wins.